How's everybody doing? I might get cut off at any minute. So I gotta say one thing. I did a reading to a lovely Haitian woman from Port-au-Prince. The last four digits of her cell phone number is 2202. Please give me a call. We spoke for 2 hours. You called me on a Sunday or a Saturday night. Please call me. Important that I talk to you. Okay, Miss Aries, I believe it was April 7th. Anyway, we're going to continue with part two, incompatibility of signs with Taurus and Aquarius. I might get cut off. I am having severe technical difficulties. The devil's a liar, but I'm going to try to do as best as I can. If not, the rest will be on the bottom of the box, okay, description box. Now, although Aquarius, we're going to jump right in because I don't know where I'm going to be cut. Okay, so although Aquarius and Taurus are not opposite in the zodiac, they are very oppositional as people. Okay, this relationship is most likely to be an uncomfortable relationship for several reasons. We have a square with the elements. We have earth and we have air, but we also have a modality square or opposition, which is a fixed earth and fixed air. We compared, like in part one, a volcano. A volcano is like Aquarius and Taurus, because then you have the volcano erupting and then the plumes stay up in the air. And that can be a beautiful sight, but also a terrifying sight because of what's coming with the pyroclastic flow heading towards the land and killing everybody in sight. Okay, that is the wrath and rage that these two can go into each other if they encounter irreconcilable differences. This is incompatibility of the signs. Another analogy that we can use is that we can use the analogy of the baseball field, where, if you do a home run, you can walk or even prance your way towards first base all the way to fourth base and home. But we know that in baseball, if a home run is a rarity. Usually you have to bat and hopefully steal a base or run a base, and in hopes that you don't get struck out. If the pitcher catches the ball in mid-run to another base, you could be struck out. So, running from base to base to base can be an arduous 20-25 minutes of a baseball game. Or it could be an hour. It depends. A home run is really the gravy in the pudding. So the same analogy we can say about Taurus and Aquarius, especially if we're dealing with the Taurus woman and the Aquarian man, because we spoke on part two on the opposite. And although there is not much of a difference, there is a fundamental difference when it comes to dealing with the day-to-day details. You have to understand that Taurus has a routine, and the routine is the home. The home is the front. The home front where Taurus can succeed in running the home, running the finances, running the family, children, if they have any. If not, just keeping the home front, like Miss Cancer, well intact for her man to come home. The question is, will Mr. Aquarius come home? He may come home and then suddenly, without warning, disappear and not come back. He won't be like Gemini that will leave and come back, but come back like days, even weeks later. Aquarius might not come back at all. And he might not even tell you or give you a heads up that he's leaving you. And this may not be personal, because God forbid that Mr. Aquarius has any kind of emotional sentimentality concerning to or connected to his behaviors, especially when dealing with other people. He's not good in the interpersonal department, and he may try to tell the Taurian if he's tired of her that he's about to leave, but he might do it in such a way where she may not understand, and then he will absolve himself of any responsibility because he's like, well, I kind of let you know and I kind of threw hints that this is where I was heading. Now, the Aquarian man doesn't really share himself. And because he doesn't share himself, it's very difficult for this man to actually open up and try to meet you halfway. I don't think he wants to meet you halfway, because then that means that he needs to share within of himself in order to meet you halfway. Now, that doesn't mean that all Aquarians are adherent to emotional exposition and to being open with their feelings. It depends a lot on the birth chart. If the birth chart has a lot of mutable and a lot of water emphasis, Venus and Mars are very pronounced, then this could water down the insensitivities of Aquarius. And Aquarius can actually feel at an empathic level. To be honest, I have not seen it. I can see it more so with the women as far as showing emotional empathy, more so than the men. It doesn't mean that they don't show it. It has to come across in another area. But the emotional department is not an area that I think that the Aquarian will really know how to act in accord. Any other kind of similar problems with the Aquarian man, with the Aquarian woman, can be something as simple as not picking up after yourself. Because Aquarians, they don't like anything domestic. It's not that they don't do it if they have to do it, but you have to really be on their back for them to even throw away the garbage or even wash the dishes. And that can make the Taurian woman irritable. I mean, and these are just the little basic things. The Taurus woman really doesn't require much. But if you fuck with her routine by just simply being sloppy or careless, that's enough to cause her level of comfortability to be threatened. So, but because most men are basically a little bit on the careless side, it's very easily forgiven. Women will most likely overlook it. However, having said that, the Aquarian man doesn't seem to learn to improve or even to take notice of the routine put in place by Miss Taurus. And that's because he's so not present. See, the problem with the Aquarian man is that he has a problem being present with you in the course of the relationship, either a minute or a second or an hour. And why does this happen? It usually happens because the Aquarian man is bored, or the Aquarian man is not being stimulated intellectually. And it's not that the Taurian woman is not capable of it. With her, everything has its place, even philosophically. Now, having said that, that doesn't mean that she has to be in agreement with you, Mr. Aquarius. And it doesn't mean that you might necessarily have the patience to kind of hear her out and see her point of view. It might require a little bit more grinding than you're used to. But understand that it is these little irreconcilable differences that can actually tear up the relationship before it even gets started. And let's say that it does get started. It is a tough grind from the beginning, middle to the end, which is why I chose the baseball field as an example. You could be lucky and get it to first base, but you might get struck out by the time you get to second base. You might not reach second base. And if you reach second base, you might not reach a third base, and so on. So that means that every base that you hit in the relationship, you're going to probably reinvent yourself or rediscover yourself or discover another layer about the person that you're with, whether it's Taurus or Aquarius or the other way around. It still requires that what you find and discover about each other might not be something that you may even like. And then what? It's one thing to love each other. It's another thing to like each other. You first have to like each other before you can love each other. Again, love is not about just feeling pleasure. If you really want to get down to it, love is about pain. You experience pain. And this is how we grow. And sometimes it's bittersweet. And with this combination, I think it's safe to say that it is bittersweet because you can become wonderful partners together after you've gone through the grind. You know, now if you are young, if this is a young couple, then it can be kind of bad and worse, but not initially because there's going to be desire and attraction and intrigue, and it does fizzle off. But that long fizzle can be a long fizzle depending on how young you guys are, and if the parent, if you live with your parents, right? If it's that kind, then it can be a really really nice and exciting. There's no commitment to each other and there's no responsibilities. But if you were a couple that was on your own and trying to get together and establish a relationship, even one of coexisting, co-living together, that's where it might present an issue if you don't know or haven't learned how to deal with conflict resolutions and communication and compromise. Because with this combination, trust you me, there has to be plenty of compromising, plenty of adjustments. Because again, we are dealing with two people that come from two separate value systems. Now, the Taurus girl is quite traditional. And in being quite traditional, she will probably attract a man that will also mirror her own values. She's not going to take time to throw out her values and find some and adapt somebody else's. You know? Why should she? If what she has always worked for her, why would she want to change it? You don't fix what ain't broke. Okay? With Taurus, it's really very simple. The same is true when she approaches her relationships. You know, it's very, very simple what she wants and what she requires. The Aquarian man has to follow suit. The other issue is that the Aquarian man might love to chase him, but then not really care very much after he's caught her. And if that becomes the situation, that can really be a really fucked up situation to occur to a Taurus girl who tends to be quite earthy and kind of grounded. There's nothing boring about the Taurus girl. Nothing boring about her. She's delicious, plum. But she is a morsel that you have to go after and buy. If you want banana cream pie, you have to be in the mood for banana cream pie. If you are in the mood for, chocolate cheesecake, mmm. Ooh, chocolate cream cake. You have to have an appetite for it. It's not something that you're going to eat every day if it doesn't call you. You can eat cookies every day, a little candies in there, even fruit. But a nice banana cream pie or a German chocolate mousse, that's an indulgence that you just don't eat every day. Well, you have to see the Taurus woman as that kind of delicious, specially made dessert. You want to savor every piece of that piece, down to the licking of the fingers. Okay? You cannot rush through an experience with Miss Taurus. And Mr. Aquarius, you'll be in air and kind of living in your own philosophy, may want to approach this woman in a visceral way that in a way you end up losing, because you cannot enjoy a woman viscerally. You have to jump right in with a woman, and that's something that you can do. Oh, you most certainly can do it, but you'll give your body to them, and you love doing that. But if you don't give your heart and your feelings, then you're changing yourself and changing the Taurus woman. The Taurus woman requires commitment and loyalty. No, and Aquarius, you are capable of providing that. You are very capable in providing commitment and loyalty. The issue becomes is when you get your stirrings, as you always do, to look and go elsewhere. And you have to be careful, because you can really hurt this woman if you start acting, in your indifferent ways that only you Aquarians know how to do well. It's true. Now, as if it's this couple, if you guys, because I think the key principle here is communication. If you simply cannot find a way to communicate, even when you deeply, sincerely love each other, then it's like you guys are not gonna make it. Okay? During arguments, Taurus will push the point further than the Aquarians can ever thought possible. Because let me tell you, in the heat of an argument, Miss Taurus will argue you down. And she will present another perspective of the same problem in a way that you'd never thought about it before. And that can be very seductive and intriguing, because it's something that you probably didn't thought was in her. Because that's the other thing. The Taurus woman is often pretty underestimated. Don't think because she loves being in the kitchen and likes being barefooted, and like to really be familiar in the home, that she's just someone that is a mindless housewife. Oh no. She does that because that's what she likes. But this woman can be very otherworldly in ways that you did not even consider, because that's the thing about Miss Taurus. She's a layered goddess. Every time you look, there's another layer to her that is like a wellspring, and each layer has its own life of its own, and it's just wonderful. It's like a true secret garden that's only available to you, Mr. Aquarius, if you know how to take advantage of it. The thing is that you can sometimes fuck up a good thing because your willingness to find something better somewhere else. And that's the fixity nature of Aquarius, is that you're never going to stop thinking outside the box and trying to find yourself within that new perspective that's yet to be conquered. It's an impulse that pulls you. It doesn't have to let you take you anywhere, Mr. Aquarius. Maybe a simple communication about these impulses that you feel, talking about it to your woman, may be all that you need to do, instead of physically taking off somewhere. You are great at mental travels, Mr. Aquarius. Teach her to also engage in mental travels with you. Open her pineal gland with your fabulous insights and intelligence that are otherworldly. I know, I have Uranus, your ruler, in Virgo, in my own sign when I was born in 1967. So I understand those impulses of Aquarius. It's in me. But I've been in relationships that I may not feel totally comfortable all the time. And I've had impulses to just walk away and walk out and leave. But if I was to do that, then that means that I would do it anytime the impulse grabs me to do it with anyone that I may be in. That's not good for me either. If I want stability, I will have to find a way to mitigate those impulses or transform them and not let them take me from something that's good. Now, if something is outmoded, then I can understand where then you will have to leave. I mean, I would, and I have. You know, the impulses of Uranus are very strong, and when it's time to leave or maybe unsettle things, that's usually an indicator that it is time to stir shit up. Now, you as an Aquarian, you represent that principle. And understand, Miss Taurus, that that principle in the Aquarian man is not going to go away or be mitigated because he's in a relationship with you. If things like that happen during the course of your relationship with an Aquarian man, then you might have to consider the prospect that it is time to redirect the relationship or terminate the relationship. Because with Aquarius, those are the choices. Either you stir things up if things are stagnant and not working. That way there can be another fresh perspective, and then the relationship can be approached from another direction and you can work towards it. Or it is a clean cut done. That is how it probably will occur or will happen with Aquarius and Taurus. Okay. And it can happen whether they are older or whether they are younger. It's usually far more volatile when they're younger. But then I've heard of cases too where it's equally as volatile if they're much older. You know, it is, and when you encounter that, the reason for that is because the value systems are different. And if you don't find a way to come together and create a new synthesis of a value system that you can both agree on and build on, then this relationship will not work. Now, how if you are in a relationship dealing with this combination, you have to consider the strengths and the weaknesses of each partner. You as an Aquarius, you know that the woman loves routine, but in order for you to know that, you have to study her. You have to get to know her. And within that fixity and that routine that she functions in, you could introduce innovation. It's like putting a square peg into a round hole. In sacred geometry, it can be done. And if anyone can do that, it's you, Aquarius. You will be teaching the Taurian to think in a different way. You'll take the yoke off and allow her to see viscerally your point of view, and then teach her and allow her to transform her own thinking. But that means that you have to be plugged in, Mr. Aquarius. That means that you have to be involved, not just in her body and beauty and feeding your stomach, but also, you know, these are areas that she's good at. Your area that you are good at is that you feed the soul. So feeding the soul to this Taurian woman is a way in which you can reach balance and be able to mitigate those impulses. Instead of running away, you know, to see where the impulse takes you, transform that impulse and expose it and allow other people to benefit from it, you know. And this is how you're able to bring a little bit of the universe into your relationship, Mr. Aquarius, and share it with your woman. No. Miss Taurus loves to learn. She loves to learn. Her opposite sign is Scorpio. Understand that. This concludes this segment.